Okay, my last video, something went wrong with OBS, so I have to re-record, which sucks, dick. But here we go. I'm gonna try to go even faster this time. The new sets, the playtesters were pretty busy this time around. We didn't get to test the sets as much as we want, so the community's gonna have to. But they are pretty cool. If they need powering up, they will get that. Xantai is not allergic to buffing new items at all, so uh, I'm gonna skip all the fluffy stuff, but this is important. Additional, totally normal objects have been discovered in the world of Cairn. Uh, People don't really realize that there's a secret legendary mace in the game in Forgotten Gods, and the funny thing about the mace is it's called Totally Normal Shield. It looks like a shield, even though it technically is a mace to the game's files. So you can dual wield shields, or at least look like it. They're adding new legendaries that have the same effect, so different shields that you can dual wield, basically. Or what's really fun is you can use them to make a dual wielder look like your sword and border, which is just nice if you want your character list to have like more sword and board transmogs, yet the power of a dual wielder. That's cool. But here's the best part: every single one of those is a legendary that's different. They're not like just duplicate transmogs. Each one of them is like actually a whole new legendary. It's like this part is it's this little line here is like the most. It's gonna get overlooked. I'm not gonna tell you where to find the shields, or I should say maces that look like shields, but they're fucking cool. I don't know if they're all good enough. Not enough time to test it. I was really busy. I didn't get to do barely any playtesting for this patch, so I won't speak too much on the things I don't know about. But from what I've seen of them, they look like they're trying to make shields more accessible to non-shield classes, and I really appreciate that. So, me likey. I don't like this Crucible change. I I should be more nuanced about that. I like the idea of making Crucible harder. I don't like how accessible it's become. I don't like that everyone bitches if their build can't beat it. It's like suck it up. The original intention was that most builds would die past 150, except for tankier ones. So I think it's fine. I just don't like the change because I know this gets thrown around on the forum. Oh, it hurts the weaker builds more than it hurts the strong builds, even if your intention is to hurt the strong builds. Well, in this case, it's actually true. The strong builds just need to get nerfed in their itemization because they kill bosses so fast, the bosses don't get a chance to use their full skill kit, so they don't really get to use all of their threatening moves. But for slower builds, this is just gonna be even more painful. I'm not against increasing the monster damage. I just would increase the health as well and focus on nerfing those builds that are doing like 6 minutes, 30 seconds and less. And a lot of builds need to get nerfed, but we're focused on buffs right now. Excuse me. Blah blah blah. Shed realm stuff. New special effects for skills like that got updated. New conversion effects for Eye of Reckoning, so your spin to win can get different colors now. It's all good. All good. Ishtal, the Mind Reaper, actually was bugged. People were saying it spawned so many mirages, it's too hard. It turns out it was a bug, so that should be much more approachable now. The fight's fine. Um, so the relic stuff, I'm not like an expert on relics, but here you go. Agrifix's Malice is already a great relic. Now it's just more appealing to either auto attack builds instead of just being a caster relic, which it kind of was. Annihilation, this one's really good. Added 4% attack speed, reduced cooldown and energy cost in the granted skill. Um, this should be close to good enough. If it's not good enough, then I just think the granted skill needs a bigger radius to go with Demolitionist's theme of blowing huge things up in wide circles. But that'll help. Bane added 5% attack speed, increased OA to 55. I still think the ability on Bane could be a little bit better, but it's a step. Conflagration, who cares? Ugh, level relic, relic doom. Did I make you yawn? If you yawned when I yawned, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Don't do that. Doom got cast speed. It's just to make it more accessible to physical casters. Eldritch Pact is already really strong, but now it's got some HP regen. I really like this change. I like that Xantai adding HP regen back into the game. Um, HP regen is something that'll easily spiral out of control if he doesn't do it really in small increments, which is why his numbers on HP regen are often so cautious. But man, This is really good. This opens things up for some occultist regen tanks. I really like that change. That's but damn, that's a powerful place to put it. Eye of the Storm, 8% cast speed. Yeah, I kind of forgot that Eye of the Storm is a little weaky schmeeky. 8% is nothing to scoff at though, but I think it could be better, the relic itself. But not by much. Like I think I don't know. I haven't used it in too long, so I won't say too much. Ignifar's Combustion, reduced damage dealt by the skill proc. Anyone who's upset by this can cry me a fucking river. The relic was already amazing, and even after the nerf, it's still amazing. So yeah, get over it. Malediction added 5% attack speed, increased the poison duration to 80%, and increased the poison retaliation on the granted skill. I really like this change. Malediction felt. Am I mixing them up? Yeah, Malediction and Meditation kind of had a lot of overlap, if I'm remembering correctly, and distinguishing this as like a really solid poison retaliation relic is nice. Necrosis, 5% attack speed. This relic still needs a lot of work. Oblivion, 6% cast speed. I don't know enough about it. Primal Instinct, I don't really do pet builds anymore. It's now Salvation. Nice health regen buff, and the activation chance on the skill went up to 20%. Also nice. Again, I get that Xantai is being incremental, but this relic is so bad. I wish he gave it a bigger buff. It's a pretty bad relic. I mean, all these HP regen things add together to become like crazy, but you often sacrifice a ton of damage to do that, and Salvation is a huge sacrifice of damage as well. So I think this is a really weak relic still. Ascendant Hood buff. I'm gonna skip over most of the monster frequent stuff. Just assume it's all good. But this one's really fun. It turns Devastation purple, and now it's better. It's a smaller radius, which sounds bad, but it just means you're hitting smaller targets more often. Actually, it's a more focused skill now when you use it with this helm, and 1 second duration on Devastation is quite nice actually. Just a few extra hits. This is all good. I don't really care about the monster infrequent stuff. This one's the funniest though. Future Necklace add Aether to Acid conversion for Blood of Dreek. Blood of Dreek's a buff that buffs like everyone in a radius around you. So I'm pretty sure you can actually fuck your friends over. This is what you do. You play with your friends, and you tell them to do an Aether damage build, or do a friend that likes an Arcanist class and has Aether damage, and then get this necklace, and you'll nerf like almost half their damage, because I'm pretty sure the way this works is it'll convert their Aether to Acid as well, not just yours. Blade Arc buffs, that's always good on the itemization. Now this is huge. The faction augments, a lot of useless shit was changed. A lot of the useless stats it was replaced with either OA or DA, and also some more flat fire was added to the game. So fire damage is coming back into the game. Fire was always a little weak. Oh, this is 15 elemental damage. Sheesh. But the most important part is that a lot of these are getting OA and DA, so more augment diversity. Good. Hexflame, try to make a fire Aether Ray kind of thing going on. We'll see if that pans out. I can't comment and try it. The Overseer, I requested this to be buffed in one of my threads. It was so shit. It was so shit, but now it has 4% OA, more crit damage on your Hellhound and Briar Thorns, and slow resist, perfect slow resist on them. That's very nice. I don't know if it's enough, but it certainly won't be garbage tier anymore for pets, so that's nice. I should skip this. Mark of the Burning Shadows. I don't know if Fire Bone Harvest is viable, but it looks really cool. Like the special effect, I've seen it in game. Just your Bone Harvest spikes create this fire trail behind them. It's really nice. But yeah, Blaze here is not a bad epic set anymore. Instead of converting fire to chaos, it converts chaos to fire. And in this case, that's a great change. It's way more powerful. And you can like kind of mix it. It's a tiny set, so you can like mix it with other pieces. There's a lot of fun to be had with Blaze here now. If you want to make like a meme fire out of the sky build. Storm Serpent was converted to a Shadow Strike set. Reworked, I should say, and I don't know enough about that to comment. Reduce the percent damage reduction on Dawn Shard procs. So there's these Dawn Shard items. They're not a set, but they're like individual pieces that are like a non-set set, like a set of non-set items. And each a lot of them had a proc on them that reduced enemy damage and passed through enemies. It was retardedly good. This nerf is good. This is a really, really healthy nerf. Cry me a fucking river if you don't like it. Bladebreaker Sash nerfed. That's fine. Blaze Heart was like vastly improved. Defilers got a lot of love in this patch. Defilers are much better now. It's great. Not just from this item. They got like other places as well. Conduit of Arcane Whispers added -1 second cooldown modifier to the two Devastation variants. I think Zantai could have been bolder here. I mean, I get that these are really tanky amulets, so you don't want to make them too strong, but I think one of the Devastation variants is like acid poison devastation, and that's not. I have a really hard time imagining a world where there's itemization to support you maxing that skill even. So I would do like a -3 second cooldown modifier for the acid devastation, and I think it would be fine because it's a weaker conversion. It's just not supported in gear. Chill Heart, 45% fire to cold, turned into a dagger. That's neat. And by the way, when it's turned into a dagger, it does full cold damage. Probably does a little less damage, but it's really fast now. You don't need much attack speed on it. It's just a neat change. Corruption of Gargable, don't know enough about it. I'm not gonna comment on this. Decree of Circle 5 still seems like a shit item to me. The skill was shit. The whole thing was shit. It's for battle mages, which is shit. So this item needs to be good, but the problem is since it's just a little weapon, if you make it good for battle mages, you can probably make it even better for something else. It's very hard to control. You know, since you can multi-class, it's hard to buff battle mages through itemization without buffing something else more. So, I don't know, this item's fucked. But it's getting there. I mean, at least you can shoot bone spikes, and they're not so bad anymore. I'll get into some of the mythical versions of these. Eldritch Gaze got 5% block chance and 50% shield damage blocked modifier to possession. I think that was a conduit bonus in the past that got removed, and now it's on the helm. I really like this change. I really like the idea of tanky sentinels and occultists. So I like this a lot, actually. Feral Mane leg plates increase defensive ability to 80. I wanted something like this for Feral Mane leg plates. I really like this. Shamans sometimes have trouble getting DA. That's a lot of DA. It's a great change. Galewind treads 70 OA. So I know it sounds like similar to the DA, but I worry that for the boot slot, it's just not going to be tanky enough. I don't know enough about Galewind treads though, but it might be fun. I might be mixing them up with the other cold boots. Amatox Step got 4% Fizz Resist. I think that's a really good start. I also requested that the plus skills on it be changed from +2 each to +3, because Amatox Step supports a lot of conversion builds, like Granado converted to cold. It supports Alexa's Flash Freeze, which isn't like overperforming by any stretch of the imagination. So it's a really solid change. I just would change the +2s to +3s. I know it goes over the stat budget items kind of have. Like how many stats can you shove on an item before it looks bloated compared to the rest? But because it supports weaker archetypes, I think it supports Ring of Steel as well, which is not a good skill to main. So I just think those +2s could be +3s, and I don't think it would hurt anything, make anything OP. So there's a bunch of Rune of Kalistar item buffs. Those are all good. I always kind of resented that Rune of Kalistar was weaker than Rune of Hagrid. I've kind of come around that Rune of Hagrid was over-nerfed as well, but not as much as people are bitching. The up-close damage was nerfed by 30%, but the shotgun potential was so powerful. I just think changing that to 25% would be sufficient, and then these Kalistar buffs are good, because Kalistar was always a lot weaker as a rune. So I like these buffs to Rune of Kalistar items. Cold Devastation buff over here. We'll see how that pans out. I think it has some potential. I don't think people have tried it enough. Mythical Avatar of Chaos, increased damage and damage reduction on the granted skill. I really like that change. The Avatar of Chaos necklace, I think, was kind of bad for a while. Bladebreaker's Hash, we went over that. Blood Song is still, it doesn't matter. This got nerfed, but it's still a really really powerful weapon. Bloodsong, dual wield Bloodsong with Tricksters, and you'll be OP. I'm gonna try to get that nerfed, but dual wielding Bloodsong Tricksters are nuts right now. Boots of Primordial Rage added 280 health. Give me a break. Like, was someone like insisting that these boots were good? I was pretty confident when I said they were paling in comparison to some others. I mean, they're not bad, but 280 health is like, I mean, I can't call it inconsequential because some castery squishy builds use it, and you can use all the health you get to survive burst damage, but it's not good enough for my taste. The Codex of Violent Rifts. Don't worry about anything that's reduced, like the cooldown modifier is being weakened. It's because Doombolt's base cooldown was lowered as well. So it like net ends up being the same, but also makes Doombolt a more fun skill to level up with. So don't worry about those changes. Court of Violent Decay increased OA to 80. I wasn't aware it needed that. I think some. Oh, I think it's for like some niche Defiler builds or something, but I guess the extra OA doesn't really hurt the builds that were already fine with the belt. Like, it doesn't make them OP. When I say hurt, I think making something OP hurts it as well, actually. I don't think things are super fun when they're OP. And the Thermite Mine stuff's fine. Dread Knight's leg plates, I really like this. So the health was increased from like 550 to 800. That's pretty significant because when you consider high rolls, it can go even higher. I think you can break 1,000 health on these pants now, and you can get 5% fizz resist if you high roll that. That's really good. It's kind of taking some of that fizz resist that Chaucer's of Barbaros lost, but the problem is Chaucer's of Barbaros is so strong offensively. Like, it's so strong. It's nice that these have more fizz resist than those, and this nice chunk of health. But this is sort of for like weird, was it Vitality shield builds? So I just think you might need to buff the proc still, or you might need to make the skill bonuses a little more focused on these. But this is definitely a really powerful buff. Like, this is not a small buff; it's a big buff, and I think it just needs small tweaking from here on out to make these start showing up on people's builds. Essence of Grim Dawn, reduce cooldown on the skill proc. That's crazy. Is a good. I think it's already a good amulet, but that's neat. Mythical Flames of Wrath. I already thought the concept for this item was cool, and I had suggested it just needs like one more cool skill mod or something, and then people can kind of. It just hasn't been tested enough. So my advice was just, why don't you just make the item cooler in a weird way so people can kind of play with it. I think the theme of the item is that you're supposed to kind of go half fire, half aether, which is, I don't see that playing out super great, but it has a lot of potential. And even if it only ends up being mid tier, it's just a cool item. It opens some things up. It opens some weird combo ideas up that you normally wouldn't see. Mythical Heart of the Sand King, increased bleed damage for pets, added 80 DA for you. Bleed pets just need to be tested. I can see why Xantai's not into the idea of buffing the bleed damage much. This is like a really tiny damage buff, but skeletons stack bleed. So I don't know. Bleed pets are gonna be weird. This change I wasn't happy with. The Mythical Life Giver Signet, reduced cooldown on the skill proc. These rings are ass. And I like the buff. I like that it gets a buff, but the stats on the rings themselves need to be better. Rings are a really powerful slot offensively, and so you need a really tempting defensive bonus to them if you want to give up all of that offensive power you're potentially losing by using a defensive ring instead of an offensive one. And there's other options for defensive rings, like just that mix some offense in as well that are perfectly fine. The Open Hand of Mercy and Closed Fist of Vengeance are really good for sustaining you in combat. I just think this ring deserves a lot more than that. Maw of Despair, I don't really care. Benefits for Kalos Tempest, but reduced chance of damage reduction. That's fine. More damage, but less damage mitigation. I don't know if I like that, actually. Yeah, I kind of don't. I think it could have kept the damage reduction. like caster shine a bit. Just make it like a short duration. It would have been fine. Murmur's Kiss, increase DA to 80. That's neat. Knight's Embrace, reduce the pierce damage, and reduce the RR on it. You can nerf this item further, Xantai. You can nerf the item further. People are bitching about it already. I already read the comments below this. I'm not going to go through it here, but you're nerfing all the fun builds. Shut the fuck up. A small minority of players think like being absolutely broken compared to everything else is what's like most fun for the game. But that's not a healthy viewpoint in my opinion. When your characters are so powerful that they're killing things before they have a chance to fight back, I just think it makes the game mindless. So you can nerf that further. Treacherous Means. This one. So now you can dual wield with this belt. I think that does that include the non-mythical version? I would imagine so. I like the idea. It's just sort of convenient, but I think most people use a metal to dual wield if they're not using Nightblade. Or is it a pistol weapon? I don't fucking know this belt. But I'm skeptical that the redesign will be sufficient. It might need some tweaking. Rocket Jacks has come into its own. Now it's getting a 10% lightning resist modifier to Stormbox of Elgaloth. That's great. Now it does full lightning damage instead of being like a physical converted to lightning damage. Crossbow. This is looking good for cooldown Primal Strike builds that want to do like electrocute damage. So I dig it. Satchel the Bloodlord, Infernal Purge, just some Ignifar buffs, I think. I'm gonna skip through this. I wanted this so bad. Mythical Screams of Aether replaced Terrify of Confuse. The ring's stats were already great. But the problem is the proc would make enemies run away from you and slow down your clear time because you'd have to chase after the enemies you're trying to kill. So this is a great change. Not only will your enemies attack each other a little bit, but they won't run from you. And you can still kill them even when they're confused to your team. This one I also really like. Mythical Serenier's Commendation. Increased defensive ability to 98. That's not small, especially for this item. I think it was like 20 something or 30 something, and now it's like 98. That's huge. Might have been even lower. And replaced Elemental Retaliation with Fire Retaliation. That's good. It actually does matter. It means it's easy to go full Fire Retaliation to attack. And it added % all retaliation damage to the skill proc. This is really cool. I could really see people trying to build around this in some way now. I really like this item's changes. This is the buff it kind of deserved. Like if it's not good enough now, it can't be far away from it. If it's not good enough now, I would probably guess it's because Fire Retaliation to attack is somehow not working out for it. But I doubt it. You already have Virtue set. I really think it's a cool medal now. Shadowflame Mantle, increased Aether to Chaos, add +2 to Fabric Reality. That's great. That's a fun little bonus there. Spellbreaker, people were upset about this change. I don't know enough about it, not gonna think about it. Spell Drinker to mirror whatever. Stormheart is a dagger too. Oh, Stormheart was nerfed, removed crit damage. What were people using this for? Eye of Reckoning or something? I don't fucking know. I think it's fine. Threat of Mortality. I was so I was happy and unhappy about this. The health regen was buffed, and this was like almost exactly what I asked for. The health regen was increased. You got +2 to Vindictive Flame, and to Madrigan's pack, so you can potentially get a nice, sexy amount of HP regen out of this thing. It remains to be seen if HP regen tanks, or even HP regen as off-tank damage mitigation is enough. Totally great steps in the right direction. Totally thematic with the item. I'm just not sure the item's there yet. The amulet slot is just so fucking important. You're giving up so much. It gives you almost nothing but HP regen, and I think lifesteal, but it doesn't give you like much damage or, yeah. I don't know. I think it could be even stronger defensively. Time Warped Walkers, increase slow resist to 40%. Physical resist from 3 to 4, and 2 Hellfire Mine, whatever. But man, these are great now. These are really fun. This is like a really easy way to get some like slow resist that doesn't really hurt your tankiness at all because it gives you fizz resist too. It's really, really great. Tone of Arcane Wastes. Remember I mentioned the Ascendant Helm above, the Devastation that turns purple, monster infrequent helm. You mix it with this item, and you get a purple piercing Aether Ray kind of deal. And now it has a lot of all resist. I've tested this. It's really good. You can totally build around it. It's not like top tier, but it's high tier if you build it completely. It's really, really, really solid. You can have a lot of fun with Tome of Arcane Wastes and Ascendant Helm. Mythical Tome of Atonement. Rune of Callister buff, good. Mythical Ozuan's Torment, fire damage added, good. Voidwalker's Foot Pads, increased defensive ability to 60, good. I don't know if that's enough to see it show up more on Arcanist-like builds. The DA really helps. Shorter cooldown on the damage guard proc would help, or something else. But it's a step in the right direction. I already saw minor use, so any buff it gets is like it's good enough. Not every item has to be great, you know. Good enough is good enough. Mythical Will of the Blade. This thing's fucking insane now. I think. Yeah, this thing's fucking insane now. This is gonna get nerfed. Not just the plus the new ability on it. Everything it's really insane. It stacks really well with tricksters and whatnot. Windshield Greaves. This item was already good, as far as I can tell. Outcast Secret, totally fair nerf. This item was overperforming even for a fucking helm. It was overperforming. Like, yeah, it comes off a really hard boss. Well, I shouldn't say really hard, but really hard for newbies. But it was like really, 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 really strong. Pack of Treasure Me, blah blah blah. Went over these, the mythical versions, yada yada. Storm Bears. Oh, Storm Bears. They got 70 DA, increased damage on skill proc. That's pretty cool too. Oh, this one I liked. The Grey Knight. So I always hated that this item kind of overlapped on Octavius. It was like budget Octavius, but I don't like a purple legendary being a budget item for a full set. That the full set has a shield too, so it's just redundant. So now where Octavius takes cooldown Force Wave and makes it faster, you can cast it more often. This actually makes you cast it less often, but gives you a 50% multiplier on it. That's insane. You put enough internal trauma on that thing. This needs to be tested. It could potentially open up its own build, which I really like. I'm gonna skip over as much of this as I can. I just feel like I have to go through everything. Stormbox, this is fine. Aether damage Stormbox because Stormbox was nerfed. You'll see that lower down. This is fine. Canister Bombs was buffed, so that's just to compensate. Lightning damage to Canister Bomb increased on Barrelsmith Salvo. Totally fair. Lightning Canister Bomb was the weaker variant, so it needs stronger buffs. It's healthy change. Diversity, yada yada. Black Scorch Covenant. Health to 1000. 80. Oh, I don't like sigil consumption. 80 chaos damage modifier for sigil consumption. I'm just not convinced. Mythical Blade of the Black Flame. Chaos Aether Ray stuff. That's great. It's all cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just never have been able to make sigil feel like a great skill. Blight Lord's Hood. What the fuck? Added 18 fire and 18 vitality damage modifiers for Blackwater Cocktail. You can stack Blackwater Cocktail on itself too. That's insane. Blight Lord. I already really liked Blight Lord as a set for Ravenous Earth, but it's really coming into its own as a powerful Defiler set. Degolans. Degolans is gonna be crazy now. Holy shit. Yeah, not just because of this, because there's fire damage, lightning damage. What the fuck? Why is the Golans getting so good? The Golans is going to be a really good DPS set, because Inquisitor skills got buffed, the weapon pool skills. Death Guard became a Shadow Strike set. I don't fucking know. Deathmark, okay, so this one's fun. A lot of people are bitching about the Deathmark nerfs. Suck my dick. Like, seriously, just get down there and do the dirty deed, because you fucking whiny children, like, good, like, the top tier builds are already OP in the developer's opinion, clearing Crucible at 6 minutes. Deathmark is doing it in 5. Like, give me a fucking break. The set's OP. This nerf, like, scratched at its power too. People are whining about this without even trying it out in game. It made barely any difference to their clear time. The set deserves a bigger nerf, and I will push for a bigger nerf, despite what everyone is saying. Diviner set. Man, Diviner is really coming into its own. Reap Spirit's getting better. This is like a nerf to the Reap Spirit bonus, but that's because Reap Spirit itself got its cooldown decreased. But the summon limit was increased to +2. Added 90 Aether damage modifier for it. Holy shit, that's a fucking nuke. Diviner is kind of like clunky because Reap Spirit's clunky, but that adds a lot of appeal. Oh, but Diviner's Codex was the damage was reduced. Whatever, it just got spread out a bit. Still, if Reap Spirit was buffed, I don't know. I want to try the new Diviners. Skondra's Unification, increase weapon damage to Trojan Sky Shard, increase the chance for cooldown reduction on it, reduce the energy cost. That's really good. It's not just a damage buff, because weapon damage lets you get lifesteal if you have any. So you can sustain better with it as well. I really like the change. I would still prefer what one of the community members said, which is turning it into a 0 cooldown Chosen Sky Shard set, where you weaken the skill, but you make it spammable. I like that a lot better. Light's Guardian, it's all fine. Ulzuin's set changes is just changing canister bombs stuff. Increase burn duration though. Ooh. But reduce fire damage. Interesting. I think Ulzuin's is still going to be like hyper top tier for Crucible though. Could be wrong. Razin set. This is good. Increased chaos resist reduction on Curse of Frailty on 2 of its items. It needs it because Chaos has so much trouble getting resist reduction. I just don't think it's enough. It's weird. The Razin set will give you so much damage. Like if you stack it with all the Chaos, like Chaos has this weird problem of having so much damage available to it, but very little resist reduction. I feel like it's the sort of thing where if you find a good group with it to give you like just one more source of resist reduction to Chaos resist, the set will shine. I think Razin's potentially like a set that's a lot better in multiplayer than it is elsewhere. Like what do? You go like Occultist, and what? With this set you want to go like Witchblade Occultist Soldier is one of the things the set suggests. But if you go like and then if you get an Inquisitor's Word of Pain can reduce enemies' chaos resist. So if you just have an Inquisitor in your party with Word of Pain, I think the set would be better. But it's like, how do you make it good as a standalone? It's weird. It still needs some looking at. The Clairvoyant stuff is crazy. It's even better now. So there you go. Mage Slayer is buffed. That's good. Spell Scourge got buffed. I could make like a whole video on Spell Scourge. I hope it's enough now. I just hope it's enough. Spell Scourge. If Spell Scourge isn't enough, I would argue it just needs to be tankier. I really like the idea of Spell Scourge being a super tanky set that has average, mediocre clear speeds. There's a lack of that in Grim Dawn. So I'd like to see that there, and I'd like to see it for Dawnseeker as well. Dawnseeker everyone's just fucking forgotten about, because it's so bad. The Vile Blade Pact removed Righteous Fervor buffs. People are whining about this one too. Fuck off. You put 2 Mad Queen's Claws on it, your Dervish will still be fine. It just won't be insane, but it'll still be like great. So get over it. I think it's totally fine. Ouroboros bonuses, that's fine. Valdoon's buffs. This is mainly just to make it more friendly to commandos, instead of just feeling like you're shoehorned into tactician. We'll see if it's enough. Demolitionists have come a long way. You get 50% elemental to pierce. so you can convert a lot of demolitionist fire damage to pierce as well. I really like this. I wish there's a if there's a way to get 100% elemental to pierce through your other items too. I think there's a lot of potential here. To Valdoon's, I tried Valdoon's. It's just kind of been forgotten about, but it's already way better than it used to be just for tacticians too. So, and you'll see some other stuff that insinuates that it should be better. I'm gonna skip some of this. Virtue's Light. You get better cooldown, but you get less damage. I think it's just more fun. It's fine, and you lifesteal off your shield a little bit, so casting it more often, less damage. I don't know. In Grim Dawn, consistent lifesteal tends to be better than chunks of lifesteal. So I actually think overall it's an improvement. And Virtue Set was already fine. So let's get through this. This was to fix an exploit. The pet exploit got patched out. Abomination, more health. Kraken, this one's fun. So the all damage was reduced a bit, and as a reward for eating that, you get 4% Fizz Resist on Kraken for two-handers. People are whining about this. They're like, oh, now we have to take Kraken even more. It's like, give me a fucking break. Like, you already were taking Kraken if you're a two-hander. So now you just get 4% Fizz Resist as well. There's no reason to complain about it. Like, it's okay that a weapon archetype like gets shoehorned into Devotion. It's not perfect, but like that's what you're gonna deal with. Because the alternative was what? Add Fizz Resist to every two-hander in the game? That's a much uglier change. What this does is it puts a little more Fizz Resist for two-handers, and then every single two-hander has more space to be worked on in other ways. Typhos, CC to pets, Abominable Might on attack instead of on kill, that's great. Replaced health with health regeneration. People might not like that, I do. Health regeneration is slowly creeping into the game more and more. Hand of Ultos, reduced elemental resist reduction from 25% to 20%. People are crying about that too. Give me a fucking break. This is still a top tier constellation, all right? I suggested nerfing it to 15%, and I said, watch how even if you nerf it to 15%, every lightning build still takes it. You know, right? So take your 20% and sit on your hands. Living Shadows are invulnerable now, but they don't collide with enemies. That's fine. That's really good. Blade Arc was buffed. Both of its nodes were buffed. The penalty was increased to kind of counteract the buff for the spam version, except net it's still a buff, which it needed. So Blade Arc is coming into its own as well. Great change. Zul'Han's Technique, Eternal Trauma was buffed. I really like this. Zul'Han's Technique I always felt was a little weak. So that's great. This is the canister bomb change I was talking about. Reduced energy cost and reduced cooldown. It's good. You can level with canister bomb now. Like, it's actually fun. So that's great. Aspect of the Guardian. This is going to be underrated. Now the the damage bonus doesn't matter. It's tiny. It helps, but it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you can actually get more physical resistance out of its ultimate scaling. The problem is nobody scales it into its ultimate ranks. And I think that's more of an issue that it's the gear you'd have to sacrifice to get it into its ultimate ranks isn't worth it. So I think we just need to look at some acid-y items and find a way to put some Aspect of the Guardian and swap out one of the skill bonuses on some acid pieces for Aspect of the Guardian. And you're going to see a lot of occultists really happy to be in ultimate ranks for this thing. Doombolt added crit damage. Reduced percent current life damage, that was useless anyways. Reduce the cooldown, yeah. Doombolt's more fun to level with now too. Veil of Shadow buff, blah blah blah. And Arcanist stuff. I can just explain this very simply as it's not thematic to make this class any better defensively. It's already got some interesting defensive tools, but it's not meant to be tanky. So they just buffed a bunch of its damage even more, which is fine because Arcanist isn't even like the top damage dealer. The Aether Ray stuff is crazy. Like Disintegration, that's nutty. This is so nutty. Disintegrate, like I like that Xantai's kind of come around to what I've said this before, that like Aether Ray, you channel it, so you have to stand in place. It leaves you very vulnerable. Anything that interrupts you just guts your DPS, and you usually don't sustain very well with it. So and it's like Aether Ray builds tend to be pretty fucking squishy. So I like the idea of Aether Ray being one of the best DPS things in the game. So I'm really happy with this. Just like it just mow down trash mobs and bosses and everything. Because whenever you get to challenge content with Aether Ray, you're probably gonna get blown up. So I think it's fine. Trojan Sky Shard buffs. This is all crazy stuff. It's all good. This one's really fun. Escandra's Elemental Exchange. Because they moved the conversion to the transmuter, it basically empowers you to make the choice of whether you want to have physical to elemental or not. The reason why this is really good is because now you can choose it without converting physical to elemental. Because now you can use other items that convert elemental to physical, and it won't contradict this at all. So now Escandra's Elemental Exchange becomes a better tool for elemental to physical builds, like Spell Scourge. Emboldening Presence, increased. Oh, so this is more Fizz resist for shamans, but on their pet. So you could do like a weird pet support build. It helps your pet builds out. This is a good change. Maelstrom. People are complaining about this. Again, fuck off. You haven't even tried the change. It's so tiny. The difference. It's a small nerf. It's not significant. I will. Look to prove I'm not like a crate shill. I'll give you this. I don't think Maelstrom was the problem with Vindicators. I don't actually think this nerf was necessary, but I also think it's so small it's basically inconsequential. So I stand by the fuck off, but I empathize that it seems like it's fixing the wrong problem, or a problem that doesn't exist. Vindicators need to be gimped in other ways. Primal Strike, the cooldown version of Primal Strike basically got buffed, which I also really appreciate. And Stormcaller's Pack got buffed. Now this is really sexy. So Stormcaller's Pack was kind of falling behind as an exclusive skill. Not only was the damage buff, but it got stun resist. It's just great. It actually has some appeal now. Inquisitor, this was kind of surprising. This wasn't surprising. Flame of Ignifar was buffed, deserves it. But Storm Spread, Chilling Rounds, and Bursting Round were all buffed. I mean, it's true that you never took them to ultimate ranks, but now Dagallon's is gonna. I really want to try my Dagallon out again. My Dagallon character. I feel like I'm saying gibberish, but I'm excited. Horn of Gandar added % physical damage reduction. That's not bad. It's really not. If this skill is still not worth like investing points into, it's like debuff soup. It just does a lot of weird things. Like seriously, if this skill is still not worth investing in, it probably doesn't need much more tweaking from here. Physical damage reduction is pretty premium. Stormbox got nerfed. That to anyone who's upset about that gets a really big fuck you. Stormbox builds are gonna be fine. They're fine. And yeah, Reap Spirit got its cooldown reduced, and Blight Fiend got way more health. So basically, my problem with the forum has always been that Zantai very reasonably looks up the most insane builds that are like breaking the meta just fucking way too fast, shits on everything else, and nerfs them pretty reasonably usually, and everyone goes in ape shit, even though Zantai does as much as he can to create 100 more plus 200, 300, whatever other options, or make other weaker things feel better. It's like no matter how many average or even good or even pretty good builds he creates, if he dare touches the forum's favorite OP shit, everyone flips the shit. I think it's a great change. I think you should go buy the Loyalist Pack. Go buy the Loyalist Pack. There's a new Loyalist Pack. It's new cosmetics. I might show them off later. Go buy the Loyalist Pack. That's the moral of this patch review. Don't subscribe. It's not worth subscribing. If you like subscribe as a way of like showing someone that you support their channel, I don't care about my channel. I appreciate the support. It'd mean a lot more to me if you just wrote a nice comment, because I know I don't post enough videos to warrant being one of your subscribed channels. It's just a waste of space on your list. Maybe I'm the only one that's OCD about such things, but I hate clutter on it. So yeah, just leave a comment. Let me know if you feel like I glazed over anything too quickly. Let me know if you want my thoughts more specifically on something in the patch notes. Comment if you disagree or agree about something. I'll probably reply. Have a good one.